With rookie minicamp, OTAs, and mandatory minicamp officially in the books for the Denver Broncos, and actually, training camp begins in just a few weeks from now. In this video, we have news, notes, but more importantly, takeaways, final takeaways from the first phase of offseason workouts for the Denver Broncos. In this video, I wanted to break down, not only a couple of rookies who have really left coaches kind of speechless so far, but more importantly, I want to break down why they believe Bo Nix is setting himself up for an insane future, not only next season for the Denver Broncos, but potentially for the entirety of his career as a Denver Broncos quarterback. We're going to break down why and how he has looked, as good as advertised coming out of college, but maybe even a little bit better as well. Now, before we jump into the video and break down Bo Nix and a couple of these rookies and these major takeaways, I need you guys to do me a favor and comment down below which one of these rookies do you think could have the biggest impact on day one of the regular season. Do you think Bo Nix comes out and is the starting quarterback from the jump? Do you think they wait a little bit to implement him into the lineup, or do you think a guy like Troy Franklin or Jonah Ellis or even Chris Abrams-Drain, right? There's so many different rookies here that have already looked really good. Who do you think will have the biggest impact come day one? Now, let's get right into the video and talk a little bit about Bo Nix. Now, it was one thing seeing Bo Nix start to light up rookie minicamp and OTAs, but what was really something that stood out to not only me, but the media team and also the NFL coaches over here in Denver was once, mandatory minicamp began, things really stayed consistent. We didn't see a drop off. We didn't see him start making bad decisions, making bad throws, or forcing the football into tight windows. He wasn't doing that at all, right? Throughout rookie minicamp OTAs, he looked really good. And then mandatory minicamp came around, and it looked the same. Looked very, very sharp. Could make some really good throws. But the thing that stood out most to everybody was the command of the offense, right? Now, usually it takes a rookie quarterback, right? A long time, a couple of months, a couple of maybe even years, seasons to really become a leader of an offense, right? And you could never really expect a guy to come in here day one, especially when you were one of the last quarterbacks taken of the first round out of the bunch, right? To come in here and look like the guy, look like the leader, right? And, besides Jarrett Stidham and right beside a guy like Zach Wilson, he's looked like the best one already. And this is something that standed out to all of the coaches, right? Not only Sean Payton, but the QB coach, the offensive coordinator here. I mean, a bunch of these guys, right? The Joe Lombardis. These guys are really, really impressed with what he has been able to do as the leader, right? Getting into the huddle, telling guys where they're supposed to be, knowing the playbook, right? If he makes a bad throw, he's like, okay, that's on me. Let's do it again. Let's run that same play again, and let's make sure we get it right this time, right? So the command of the offense is something that, has been really good to see. The protection, knowing how to slide his protection from the left side to the right side if need be. He can check different hot routes if someone needs to change their, route. So I do think that is one of the major reasons they were so impressed. But it was only one of many reasons they loved what they saw from Bo Nix. But another reason was the arm strength. I feel like this was one of the most underrated aspects of his game coming out of Oregon. And, right now, again, I do want to say take everything with a grain of salt just because of the reason that there's no pads, there's no really contact. But in terms of first impression, this dude's arm strength, the talent alone when the football is coming out of his hands is something I didn't expect to see right away. And again, he is making all the throws that he needs to, right? And you look at some of these wide receivers with the Cortland Suttons and the Marvin Mims and the Josh Reynolds and the Troy Franklins, Tim Patricks. A lot of these guys are starting to, really look good. And it's mainly because of him. These throws that he is making are unbelievable. I mean, if you even talk to anyone remotely around the area of the Denver Broncos practices, they'll tell you this alone. They'll say Bo Nix, his arm strength alone was the thing that stood out the most because he was making throws, right? Taking vertical shots down the sideline, making big time throws over the middle of the field, short intermediate routes, getting those out clean, easy, on target. I'm really, really excited. And even, Sean Payton was quoted saying, Nix can throw with deep accuracy, and the deep accuracy is something that we really need to see out of him coming out of Oregon. So very, very excited. I think he can make throws underneath. He can make throws intermediate. He can make deep throws as well. So that is going to be something we need to see translate into training camp and obviously preseason as well, if he does want the starting job. Also, comment down below, do you think Bo Nix will be the day one starter, yes or no? Also, make sure you guys do me a big favor before we finish off this video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family. It is free. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and we will be covering the Broncos throughout the entirety of the offseason. Everything you need to know, we got you guys covered from training camp, preseason, regular season. We're going to be breaking down some film as well. I am super excited. We're probably going to be streaming a bunch of Denver Broncos games on my Twitch. So if you want to watch the games with me, make sure you guys follow my Twitch. You can find the link in the description. It is Matty Dubs with 3 S's if not. But let's get back into the video. Now, listen. Now, one of the most important aspects of this year's offseason workouts for Bo Nix was the confidence that he has built and instilled for Sean Payton as his head coach. I mean, Sean Payton couldn't be more excited about where Bo Nix is. One thing that he really harped in on was his ability to know when to get the football out, when to make the throw, when to make the risk, when to be conservative, when to take those calculated throws that could potentially turn into an interception, but, knowing when the right time is and knowing when the wrong time is. This is a guy who isn't overly, risky, isn't overly too conservative. He's a guy that's kind of right in the middle, well balanced, right? And that's kind of what you want. You talk about the arm strength, you talk about the leadership, you talk about the mentality, the work ethic, but also the ability to use his legs to extend plays. Sean Payton is super excited about the total package of Bo Nix and what he brings, right? He was also quoted saying that with Bo Nix, the ball will always come out on time. And listen, you won't have to be nervous about him making a late throw or making a throw too early. This guy knows when to release the football, and that is just something you love to see. So listen, I think everything that we've noticed with Bo Nix has been really, really good so far. I think he's, ready to be that guy sooner rather than later. I don't think he's a guy that you need to bench or let be a backup for a year. I think potentially maybe they start the season off with Jarrett Stidham for like 4 or 5 weeks and then let Bo Nix go. Because truly, what he has shown so far, and again, take it with a grain of salt, we still have a lot of time to see what he can do going forward. And I really want to see it during preseason and training camp. But I think this is a guy who can be really good at a bunch of different things. The leadership, the arm strength, the work ethic, the ability to use his legs. This is a guy that's going to be highly touted here in Denver, and I'm excited to see how that goes going forward. But I think we can't really make a Denver Broncos video without at least bringing up the name Troy Franklin. Now, what's interesting about Troy Franklin is obviously he played college football in Oregon, right? So we know that him and Bo Nix have already had that chemistry, that rapport, right? They've already been together. And I feel like the chemistry right there is something that needs to be talked about a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to lead to immediate success. I think they have guys that they really like already here in Denver. In the Courtland Sutton, there's no way he's going to lose too much playing time. Marvin Mims, after what he did last season, I think is ready to potentially break out this season. And again, I think he is another one of those guys that can be insanely good for a Bo Nix or a Jarrett Stidham or a Zach Wilson, whoever wins that starting job, right? But then you look at a guy like Josh Reynolds, who is also very versatile. And I think if Troy Franklin was able to, win some playing time, it could be in that aspect alone. But listen, when you talk to Sean Payton, he loves the combination of Bo Nix and Troy Franklin. He actually believes that it might be a little bit too much overblown, the chemistry. But man, listen, these guys reuniting from college, they were so good together during their time at Oregon. I think that will translate to the NFL. I really, really do. So we'll see what happens going forward. But he looked really good during mandatory minicamp. He did. He made a lot of big-time catches, and I'm excited how things progress going forward. We also could talk a little bit about Audric Estime. I mean, he was another one of those guys who, at first I didn't really know where he was going to step into this offense or if he was going to step into this offense. But we have seen really quickly here that nobody's safe on this team, right? Javonte Williams could be a cut candidate, according to multiple media members. You have Samaje Perine, who's getting up there in ages, primarily a receiving back out the backfield for the majority, right? He can run the football. I'm not saying he can't, but when you look at Audric Estime, this is a guy who I thought would go a little bit sooner in the draft. And quite frankly, he didn't. I thought they stole him in the 5th round. And, I think when he gets healthy, right, when he is able to really showcase what he can do, I think this guy could really carve out a role in this offense. So, guys, those are the three rookies I think can really get a role early. But I don't want to sleep on Jonah Elliss. This dude is a different breed, and I mean that, right? This dude has come in here. He has, showcased some really, really good work ethic. The dude is always just fighting and fighting and fighting to get better and better as time goes on. And again, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he finds his way onto the football field relatively early. I know they have guys like, Baron Browning and Nick Bonito, and even Jonathan Cooper was really good last season at times. But Jonah Elliss, keep your eye out on him. We'll see what he can do going forward. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Training camp is right around the corner. We should have a lot more of these videos coming out soon. So join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.